Today we'll be reviewing Pythagorean Theorem. So if you look at my star chart with me, at the very bottom it says Pythagorean Theorem. And two clue words are distance and length, and technically we could probably add the word diagonal. They like to talk about diagonals there. So I'll make sure that you guys are writing that before your STAR test. The formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so I don't have that memorized. It's on my star chart. Here we go. Pythagorean theorem is only based on what type of shape? Right triangles. And basically it says if you want to figure out if a triangle is a right triangle, then you can use this formula. You can also use this formula to find the length of a missing side of a right triangle. So there's two reasons to use this formula. To say yes, something is a right triangle, or to solve for a missing side. It is important that you know what these sides are called, because on the STAR test they might ask for the hypotenuse, and you have to know what that side is. So everybody look at this right triangle right here. Everybody right here. This right here is the right angle. Draw a right angle right there. And the side across from the right angle is always the hypotenuse. That's just the fancy word he came up with. What is it? The A, B, or C? The C. The side across from the right angle has to be called the C. These two sides are called the legs, and you can label those A and B. Does it matter which one's A or which one's B? No. The only one that matters is the side across from the right angle has to be the C. Very good. All right. Once you know this, you simply plug the numbers into your formula and solve. So everybody look at this one. What side is missing? The A, B, or C?
The C.
Because this is the right angle, and this side is the C. So you simply use Pythagorean theorem to solve this problem. So we write it down. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then you plug in what you know. Well, I know that A is 3, so I write 3 squared. Plus, I know that B is 4, so I write 4 squared equals c squared. So I can add these together. So 3 squared plus 4 squared, I believe is 25. It is. But I have not solved for c yet, have I? What have I solved for? C squared. So to get rid of this, I simply square root my answer. And the square root of 25 is 5. So the missing side was 5. The C always has to be the what? Biggest or smallest? Biggest. The C always has to be the biggest. All right, turn to the back. Now, what if they give us the C? So everybody find the right angle. Is this a right angle? No. Is this a right angle? Is this a right angle? So this side has to be the, this time they gave me the C. So this is A, this is B. I write my formula down. I plug in what I know. Well, I don't know what this is, so I just say it's a squared plus, I do know that b is 12, so 12 squared equals, and I know that c is 13, so 13 squared. I can no longer add because I don't know this one. Do y'all see that? I cannot add those. So instead of adding, I subtract these because I would move this to this side of the equation by subtraction. So I'm actually doing 13 squared minus 12 squared.
Negative 25.
No, you put in the wrong one first. Always put in the C first, okay? So always positive. So I got 25. So a squared is 25. Have I solved for a? Or did I solve for a squared? So to get rid of this little square, what do I do to my answer? Square root it. So the last step of Pythagorean theorem is to square root. I accidentally put a plus sign. There we go. 5. Okay, everybody look at my answer. Was C still bigger? C has to be the biggest side. Now, that's how you solve for a missing side. But what if you don't have a missing side? What if they give you all 3 sides and say, is it a right triangle? Then you use Pythagorean theorem to say, yes, it is, or no, it's not. So everybody look at example 1. If I asked you, is this a right triangle? You cannot answer me unless you do Pythagorean theorem. Now, everybody look at these 3 numbers. Which one is the biggest number? So if this was a right triangle, this would have to be the C. This would be the A, and this would be the B. And I would simply say, is 3 squared plus 4 squared equal to 7 squared? And I would test this out. I would put this in my calculator, and I would put this in my calculator, and I would simply say yes or no. So let's test it out. 3 squared plus 4 squared is 25, and 7 squared is what? Does 25 equal 49? No. So this is not a right triangle. Because if it was, then it would have to be true. Number 2, is this a right triangle? What are you going to do? Which one would have to be the C? Okay, so I would say, is 30 squared plus what?
30 squared plus 40 squared.
Equal to? And I'm just going to say, yes, it is, or no, it's not. So am I using my square root button on these? Really?
No.
No, not at all. I'm just putting them in my calculator. So 30 squared plus 40 squared is 2,500, and 50 squared is 2,500. Do those equal each other? Yes, 2,500 equals 2,500. So would these 3 numbers make a right triangle? Yes. Okay, try number 3 and 4. Okay, so number 3, who can tell me which one was the C? Because it's the biggest. So I say, is 6 squared plus 8 squared equal to 10 squared? Is it? So I type it in. 6 squared plus 8 squared is 100. 10 squared is 100. Does 100 equal 100? So this would make a right triangle. Now, who remembers the trick about this one? This one has this on it. It's already squared. So I could undo it and say, well, the square root of 100 is 10, and then I could use it from there and say, is 6 squared plus 8 squared equal to 10 squared? Well, didn't we just do that? And the answer was yes. Or I could have just said, is 6 squared plus 8 squared equal to 100, because it was already squared. Whichever way you want to do it, and the answer is yes. Okay, the assignment today is very easy. You will either be solving for a missing side, or saying yes, it's a right triangle, or no, it's not.